You are removing these people's ability to reproduce. And if they're at a young age and they haven't had the ability, like for instance, Jazz Jennings can never have kids. Jazz Jennings also, and this probably part of your studies, can't actually feel any sexual feeling of any kind.
Do you have any idea how weird this sounds right now? Bruh. Like, why are you obsessing with a stranger's genital pleasure? That's so weird.
Why did you say that?
That's so bizarre.
That was very weird yourself.
You guys are all weird.
No.
So I'm talking about adults who engage in activities, which is a large portion of the global economy, whether you like it or not. Sure. Sex sells, they say. And when I say this person will never have this ability, you go, how weird is that?
It's weird for you to fixate on a stranger's genital pleasure. That's strange. That's so bizarre.
What a loser.
Well, she's public about it.
But see, you're not making an argument right now, is my point.
I'm not. I'm saying it's weird. It's not an argument.
Yeah,
that's an observation.
So you're trying to make an appeal to emotion and an appeal to shame.
I'm just giving you my genuine thought when you say something like that. Like,
well, it was a really fucking pathetic attempt at trying to make an argument.
Why should we talk about that?
I'm not sure that he will recover from this.
Why should we discuss whether or not she has genital feeling? That's not important. It's not. It's not in my business.
So let's focus then on the sterilizing of the individual. Are you okay with that?
Who's sterilizing people?
Jazz Jennings is sterile.
Why are we going back to Jazz Jennings? I don't know anything about her.
Because Jazz is a famous individual on cable television.
So if she is sterile for whatever reason, what does that have to do with me? Why does that concern me? Why should I pass legislation
the sterilization of teenagers?
This is such a weird way to frame this. Like,
you are removing teenagers' ability to have children.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not a doctor, Tim.
I
don't have the ability to do this.
Right?
I support people having access to health care. Of course. Why would I want to prevent that just because some people have bigotry towards them?
Let's try again. You seem scared of this.
It's afraid.
Do you believe that parents and doctors should have the ability to remove the ability of a child for future reproduction?
They should have the ability to give them access to health care. Of course they should.
So why do you keep saying
you're implying that every single gender affirming care results in sterilization? That is not true at all.
I said the removal
There's also people who are trans that never get bottom surgery.
You seem very scared of this. It's scaring you.
It's afraid.
How am I afraid to?
Because you keep deflecting when I ask you. So Jazz Jennings is a specific example. Let's try this. Let's slow down and go one point at a time.
You think I'm deflecting because I don't want to keep talking about someone's genital pleasure who's a stranger? I'm saying it shouldn't concern you. It shouldn't concern anyone, Tim.
Your appeal to emotion is not going to work on me. I'm asking you a science.
I know I can appeal to your emotion.
The illness appears to be primarily mental.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. As a general rule in life, if you're defending the castration of children or the killing of children, then you are on the wrong side. You might be the baddies, as they say. Lance from Surfs TV made the #1 biggest mistake of his life, which is going on Tim Pool's show, Timcast IRL, of which I have been a guest on many times, and trying to appeal to a reductio absurdum argument, trying to outwit Tim Pool and say, oh, actually, it's none of my business, or actually, I don't like thinking about those things. Not going to fly on Tim Pool's show. It's an intense show. They ask real questions. They have real smart people on it. And if you are trying to defend something or to deflect something that is monstrous, as child castration is, then expect to be called out. And it is the end of that man's career. Tim Pool's pro-abortion guest says meth-smoking pregnant women should be reported to child services for intentionally trying to kill a child. Here's the look on the face of a man who knows he has been defeated. It's incredible how quickly the arguments fall to pieces when you make someone defend what they believe. That's it. That's all you're asking here. This isn't a trick question. This isn't somebody trying to argue the margins. This is the whole point. This is the kit and caboodle. This is the point of the argument. Child mutilation, child castration, child sterilization, and child murder, because they talked about abortion as well. You must argue the point, not an extreme case, which is what the left always tries to do, tries to push everyone to the margins. Argue the actual reality of what's happening. Don't couch it or guise it in fake George Orwell style pseudo language, gender affirming care. They're so good at wordsmithing. This is how you actually argue. You go directly to the root of the issue and you ask, are you in favor? Yes or no? Man, reporters on the Hill could learn more of this from their questioning of Democrats. Reporters on TV could learn this style of questioning. It's really good. Lance from Surfs TV, interesting phrasing there, actually communist phrasing there, joined Timcast on Thursday night and managed to simultaneously advocate for a woman's right to get an abortion and then say that an unborn baby has enough rights that a child protective services must be called if the mom uses meth. No, it did not make any sense, and neither did any of Lance's positions, as we have just shown you there. So Lance, let's just say, very, very consistent on wanting to harm children as long as that harm is coming from somebody who's deranged or mentally ill or could provide a vote for Democrats. Watch.
That the moment after the child is outside of the birth canal,
sure,
that they are now endowed with human rights.
Yes.
However, when they are inside of the mother, literally anything you do to them is acceptable because they're inside of the mother.
Oh, no, I don't think anything is acceptable, but I think the mother should still have the choice, ultimate authority over what happens to her body.
But there's a child inside of her body.
Hold on. What about meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
I guess DCFS would be...
Yeah. It's her body, though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, I see where we're going.
I don't understand what you're saying. It's her body.
It's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the problem?
Well, first off, doing meth is illegal, period. Doesn't matter if...
Oh, doing math is illegal, period. Okay, got it. All right, Lance. So here's what the data actually says for poor Lance here. The data actually is not in favor of abortion in America. It's interesting because we so rarely get a W, but this is a major W. And as somebody who has plenty of kids, let me tell you, technology is finally caught up on this issue, and you can quite easily tell that this little baby in the womb is in fact a baby, a child, a real person, and somebody who is deserving of human rights. Obviously, you monsters. Pew Research Center says that the data says that abortion in America has been cut in half. Abortion levels based on its peak in 1973 has come down by half. Now, this is a pretty wonderful statistic here from my perspective. The number of abortions in the U.S. and their change over the years. This is from the Pew Research Center, published in January 11 of this year. The annual number of U.S. abortions rose for years after Roe v. Wade legalized the procedure in 1973. Correction here, it actually reached its peak in the early 80s. So in the early 80s and 90s, the numbers were still rising consistently, and then it has slowed and ground down to about half of their peak. Now, there are less than, it looks like, 1 million abortions a year in America. That's 1 million too many, in my personal opinion. Guttmacher recorded more than 1.5 million abortions in the United States in 1991. That number has been cut in half now, according to the CDC. So this is obviously a positive sign, and also reflects American polling. This is from NPR, so consider the source here, that Americans want abortion restrictions, and they don't want abortion up to the point of birth. Now, there's a lot of argument in between, and quite frankly, I think that argument should be had at a state level. That's important, and Americans are now performing federalism, right, as it pertains to the right to an abortion. So if you want to live in a state that allows child murder up to the point of birth, you can, and then you can live inside of whatever cursed reality that becomes for the people of that state. Americans want abortion restrictions, but not as far as red states are willing to go. Well, who cares? Here's the polling here from this article. So the polling here, and I love how they ask these questions: support abortion rights, oppose abortion rights. What if they re-ask this question? Do you support killing a child while it's being born? What if they ask that question? That would be actually honest polling here. But even inside of this dishonest pollster question, they're not getting the results they want. They still get a plurality of people in America believe that there must be restrictions on the practice of abortion.